All right, we're in excellent condition. We're good to go, guys. Welcome back to another live stream of Box Mining here. Today is the 24th of July, 2020. It really feels like a month has passed since we last spoke on a live chat at the very least, because crypto is just booming this whole week with the DeFi craze going into full swing, hyperspeed, warp speed. Literally for the most of the past week, I spent a lot of time researching, not only researching, but also playing around with yield farming. I made the video on YFI, and there was so much dynamics going on, governance, pools, coins, collecting fees, something I didn't mention in that video. But anyways, it was crazy. We have a full DeFi list up here. It's only going to get bigger because that world is... Okay, so there's a lot of hype in that world, but it's also achieving a lot in that space. I think all of a sudden we saw the switch being flipped. I think something I noticed with the exchanges as well this week is that everyone wants to list DeFi coins now. It's like there's a flip, there's a switch that initially all these DeFi coins, they were trying to list on these centralized exchanges. But, centralized exchanges were like, we're going to take 200K. We want at least 200K market making and all that budget. It's expensive, but pay us a listing fee. But now, all of a sudden, now with DeFi going on their own exchanges, Uniswap and Balancer, all of a sudden centralized exchanges are just jumping on. We see FTX, we see KuCoin, we see Binance. Binance finally lists the decentralized currency DAI. So all of a sudden, centralized finance, right? The centralized exchanges are all jumping. And that's if that's not a big change, I don't know what is. So all of a sudden, everything's going. So we also have the markets going a little bit crazy. I'll just touch upon that right now before we start the main episode. Ethereum. Oh boy. Past 7 days, up 17%. Look at these two big pushes up. A lot of it's due to some news with US banks, but there's also a lot of boiling underlying aspects here that I would definitely want to touch upon. So we'll touch about a little bit about what I think about the pricing and everything else here. If you guys like this channel, make sure you smash up that like button, pump that like button. That's the only thing you can pump up that like button. It's important. And also subscribe. So that's all there is today. So yeah, it's going a little bit crazy. So Blink courses, yeah, seriously, LOL. Big welcome to all our returning members to this live chat. If you guys don't know when the live chats are on, if you guys are watching this after the live stream, I'll put the times up. So we have times up here, Monday, Friday, 11 a.m. Hong Kong time. That's my time, but it's also, I'll put the Eastern time. I'll also put UTC there. I just don't have the time. This week has been absolutely phenomenally busy. So, yep, that was crazy. So, okay, let's see. Let me tell you a little bit about my yeah, I'm too excited. Let me tell you a little bit about my podcast before we start. So I have a podcast called Bitcoin Out of the Box. You can search for it, Out of the Box. This is my new podcast. It contains interviews that have not been aired on this channel. So the latest one was with TrustSwap CEO Jeff Kerdakis. This was a conversation that was just like, wow, DeFi, holy crap, it's popping. Like the amount of stuff you can do in this space, especially if you have a fire burning. If you have that motivation to do something important, holy crap. And in many cases, Jeff, I have so much respect. I'm not sure if you're watching this, but just so much respect for how fast he moves. I just like that conversation. It's a it was a very casual conversation. I didn't, at that time, I didn't really want it to be too formal. I wanted to be as kind of informal as possible. And something that I definitely realized in this whole time, like if you have a fire, if you have a fire in the space and you can work and you're willing to pull in the hours, just look at how much TrustSwap has done in the past 7 days. It's just phenomenal between signing up different people, showing up different technologies, pushing forward. It's crazy. And that speed is at which we need right now for crypto. It's just utterly insane. So not trying to flatter Jeff too much, but yeah, sudden lots of respect, especially since I've known him for a long time. I knew that he had a fire, but man, that fire is strong. So check out the conversation, check out the podcast. It's not featured here. We also have the conversation with the guys at Plutus DeFi before they went absolutely crazy. And just big shout out to Plutus DeFi as well. So I talked about them in an earlier video this week, and they had to delay their sale for the Plutus DeFi token. So now they've delayed it to next Monday UTC. So Plutus DeFi, let me put that at the medium. And yet again, everything here is super dangerous, but again, I was super interested in it because, of course, right now I'm diving headfirst into crypto. You don't have to follow me, I guess, in that sense. But anyways, so let's just check the article here on new listing. Okay, here. So the bonding curve sale, so it's being pushed ahead. Now it's on Plutus curve.plutus.defi. They have their own bonding curve website, and the sale will be on Monday the 27th now. So that's just a slight time change update. So it will be, for me, it'll be 6 p.m. China time because I'm in Hong Kong right now, but it will be 12 p.m., like basically noon GMT time. So with that, I think it's all about just to let you guys know, I know a lot of people are just diving and hurling bricks of money right now. Calm down. What they're doing is they're doing privacy with a platform for DeFi and yield farming, kind of what I'm doing. So I guess that's what the relevance there. But anyways, that's kind of crazy. So we are at there. We got Dendra Lamont says, can we talk about Player PLA? Player has been doing phenomenally well for the past few weeks. I acknowledge the request. A lot of people have requested that I talk a little bit more about Player. So this is the thing with me. Sometimes, if it's something that I'm hodling or something that I'm investing or something that I'm advising, I'm actually like, I do my job, right? So I've met Patrick a lot. We've done a lot of work together, but at the same time, I don't always I'll show every day. I think a lot of people, I kind of got offended when people are like, oh, make sure you show tomorrow. I'm like, I'm not a shiller. I'm talking about honest, important technology. I'm trying to push things forward. And if you like that, great, good for you. If not the channel for you, buddy. Not the channel for you. So we will do it. We'll do an interview with Patrick very soon. I think that was a very strong community request, and I promised that, but it won't be immediate. It'll be the next few weeks. So yeah, there we go. That's me addressing that comment. All right. So let's dive straight into what's happening on the market. So yet again, today we saw major flicks coming out of Ethereum. It's kind of funny because I was introducing people to Ethereum and talking about it when Ethereum was 170, right? So when I kind of went more deep into this space, there was a period this year I was just playing video games. I wasn't very I was playing League of Legends. I was trying to rank, and then I was like, you know what? Now the market's shifting. I need to build something, and I've been pushing super hard to build and work on everything here. I mean, check out the new office, new studio, etc., and all that takes time, right? So I kind of stopped playing video games, but I was telling all my gamer friends, "Yo, Ethereum, check it out, 170 right now, and now it's at 270." So funny story, huh? So we have this enormous push up. And Bitcoin. A lot of this might be due, of course. So we saw this news coming around, I would say 24 hours ago. So this is a little bit later. I mean, this is more of a retrospect piece. Some people are attributing this, I think it's quite dangerous to read these articles just for all, because people are linking this rise in cryptocurrencies with this green light for bank custody for crypto. So we'll look at the news and I'll discuss what I think in a second. But what did happen is that the US banks, they're given the green light so that they may hold custody of cryptocurrencies. That doesn't mean that they will immediately, doesn't mean the banks are immediately say, yo, put your Bitcoins here. Yeah, put your Bitcoins here. Buy Bitcoin. Yeah. They're not immediately going to do that. They can. All right, they may if they wish so, but that's a huge movement. All of a sudden, that's yet again giving a lot of recognition to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. It's kind of the opposite of what's happening in China, where China was like, "Yo, you guys can't trade crypto anymore. You guys get out of the country if you have to." This is more of a positive movement forward for crypto. So yet again, this could. All right, I put this could here, could have pushed Bitcoin prices up to 9,500. So that's really, if you guys remember, Bitcoin wasn't moving at all. So this could have been the big news that did move it. And we also have Ethereum pushing up. But I just put one caveat here is also that we do have quite a lot of variation throughout the time. It's sometimes news tries to make the link absolute. They're like, oh, absolutely, this is a reason. But I think with Ethereum, there's actually a lot, this would cover up a lot of the underlying tension as well for Ethereum. If you know Ethereum, the cryptocurrency or the stablecoin, the Ethereum-based stablecoin DAI. So this is a stablecoin backed by Ethereum. So it's not backed by US dollar, unlike USDT, but it's backed by Ethereum. So technically it's worth $1, right? Technically it's has $1 worth of Ethereum backing it. But people have been hyping over this because of a Binance listing. It's not even showing up here. Let me see if Binance recently listed. It's not even, is it showing up here? It's not even showing up here, is it? Nope. But Binance recently listed it. Let me just throw it on Binance, Binance.com. I didn't even realize this until my friend told me last night, like, that they were listing DAI. Let me see more markets. Why is it not loading? All right. So anyways, DAI was listed yesterday. And then all of a sudden, when I started trading, let me just switch that to hourly view. It went up to $1.14. This is something I don't understand about crypto. It's like all that hype, all of a sudden people are like, oh yeah, you want to buy $1 for, you want to buy something that's worth $1, but I'll charge you a 15% premium for that. This is how insane crypto is. So yeah, there was immense hype at the start, and why I feel like DAI right now, even at this current point, there's a 2% premium, right? So this is the DAI premium for it. Even though there's a 2% premium, people are still buying it. And why aren't people creating more DAI? Is it because it requires you to lock up Ethereum? So the lockup process means you have to really lock your Ethereum up, and there might not be enough Ethereum to be locked up right now for that. And this is another reason why it could be the case that Ethereum is moving more than everything else. I think this might be overlooked, is that all of a sudden, two things: there's a larger trading market for DAI now, and also it adds validation to what Ethereum is doing. I think for the longest time, I do have to admit here that I wasn't a big fan of DAI, because at that time when DAI was proposing a lot of this stuff where it's like, oh, this is a stablecoin backed by Ethereum, but I'm like, don't you remember 2017 where Ethereum prices flash crashed to like nothing? Don't you remember? Remember 2017? That was like literally like what, a year ago, where Ethereum prices suddenly crashed. And then if that happens, what's going to happen? Like, is DAI still going to be worth anything? Because it's a cryptocurrency backed by cryptocurrency, not backed by real life assets. But these few years, what's happening is that this price is stabilizing. There's bigger and more markets out there. We're not so reliant on Coinbase, which means that even if there's a flash crash, and we did see that this year, okay, crypto did plummet, but DAI still managed to survive. So it's kind of like adding validation to what that's happening. And let's just take a look at Ethereum as well. Markets. Okay, so let's take a look for this year. So yeah, there was a flash crash. So if there's a flash crash like this from 200 to bam, it goes down to 100, half its value, what's going to happen to DAI, right? And there was actually a lot of liquidations for a lot of people holding Ethereum, locking up Ethereum in the MakerDAO. I'll go into this a lot more detail. I've actually started using MakerDAO recently because I locked up some Ethereum to generate DAI to go yield farming. So yeah, so I made full use of the system. I had to swallow my words and say, you know what, maybe this is actually quite useful. This is bleeding edge. And I think I've kind of changed my philosophy going forward as well into space. Because I mean, obviously you guys know I made a video about Wi-Fi. And in fact, I was talking about yield farming, especially when it comes to Wi-Fi, work hard, play hard. Yes. No, I mean, why finance? Why earn finance? What a weird name. What a weird coin. But regardless, I was talking about this and farming this way when I first started. Within the first 6 hours of starting this, I was like telling you guys what's happening, because the reason why I was doing so is because I was in the Y pool prior to the token launch. So I was getting around 6% APY, annual percentage yield. But the moment that coin released, because there's so much hype on this coin, all of a sudden the annual percentage yield just jumped to 1,200. Now, roughly it's stabilizing at around 600 to 800%, which is ridiculous. And even when I talk about it, I'm just having to pinch myself like, okay, look, what are the risks, and should I even talk about this with the channel? Because the rewards are just so high that it makes people stupid. All right, the rewards, if you think about it, it's almost like BitConnect. It's worse than BitConnect. It's more gains than BitConnect in the first week. But obviously it's not going to last. And there's many differences. A lot of the top comments with this was like, well, how is yield farming different from BitConnect? And I think I had to address this immediately, because the difference here is that BitConnect used new funds, so users contributing to the funds directly to pay off the upline. So there was no value storage. The difference with all this DeFi stuff is that the money is not sent to up there. It's more transparently put into a smart contract. And in the case of the Y pool, that smart contract reinvests that into various other protocols, such as DYDX or Compound or AVA. So it kind of makes use of all the high yield DeFi lending platforms. So that's where the money transparency goes in. But there is one caveat though. You're not just yield farming for the gains that you get from the contract. Rather, you're farming it for a coin. So you're farming it for, in this case, I'm farming it for the Y-Earn coin. It has a huge market cap already, and the supply is just starting out. So in that sense, that's why in the video, I think I got a lot of flack for this, because I didn't really promote YFI in the video, and I intentionally didn't do so. I'm not a long-term holder of YFI, because I think there's so much speculation here. I'm still a little bit, cautious here. So yeah, as a farmer, I just sold my yield. I got my YFI, I sold that for whatever it's out there. So yeah, if you guys want to talk more about it. So I took these rewards, I got them, I sold them. Yeah, worked out pretty well for me. But there's immense risk as well. In doing so, there was a risk of new coins being injected into the balancer pools. That was one of the risks. There's a risk that all these smart contracts can blow up. We did actually see contracts blow up, like D-Force. There was a hack that stole millions from a smart contract. So even if they're programmed, even if they're that math can be slightly flawed if it's not audited correctly. And in this case, we know that it's only semi-audited. A lot of the templates for Wi-Fi are audited, but when it comes to deployment, not everything is fully audited before deployment. So that's why with everything here, they always say, this project is in beta, use at your own risk. And there's a huge amount of risk associated with it. So anyways, yeah, that's a lot of ranting. Let me just follow up on the comments. Bo Hansen says, Angela says it's a lot better, much better returns than those investment funds insurance companies sell you. I mean, it's crazy in crypto, right? Like, you go to a bank, all right, either bank or insurance companies. Insurance companies in Hong Kong are pretty hot too, like Prudential. They're offering like 5%. And I did actually buy a few investment products like that. So they have these mutual funds that a certified financial advisor will talk to you and be like, oh, we're going to put your money into building bridges, into these 10, 20-year long infrastructure investments. And maybe some US stock market. You're supposed to be making around 5% per annum. Here's your rewards list for the next 20 years. Look, after 20 years, you're going to be rich. And then afterwards, right, like for the last 2 years, that fund has been losing money for me. So magic, right? Magic. So obviously, crypto is much more transparent, but at the same time, it's much more experimental. So I think that's the difference here. There could be catastrophic failures. And I think one of the quotes was that, right now with the way Ethereum works, some kid in the basement, maybe even a 16-year-old kid, can type up and create synthetic assets that are, mutual funds. It's crazy. Like, this stuff would have taken 3 years to approve if it was run by the government, right? It would have gone through all the regulatory approval or due diligence, but some kid in the basement could do that in 3 hours right now. That's how crazy DeFi is. But at the same time, it's like, it's risk reward, right? You have to understand what's going into this. But that's the insanity of this right now. Sochi Mochi says, I'm just trying to be like you with YFI returns. I think at a certain point, I tell people this all the time, and I really do mean it. You got to do your own research. If you have to find if it's the right thing for you. Yeah, like, I have my risk tolerances, and I think something that I was pretty lucky here, right? I was a little bit lucky because, around 3 months ago, I went deeper and deeper into the space, and that's how I managed to catch the wave. I think the best analogy I would say for this current situation is, it's like surfing. Okay, let's say you're going out surfing, you paddle out, it's the ocean, you paddle out, and for the whole last 2 years, the ocean was just calm, right? No waves, nothing. You're just sitting there on your surfboard. You're like, mm, mm. Right. And then you see a bunch of other people too. You're like, oh, okay, we're all sitting at where we think the apex is going to be. We all think it's going to happen. Okay, great. Now, the issue here, of course, is that when the wave comes, right, you got to catch the wave, you got to start running. And I think that's where I was kind of lucky. I caught this wave of DeFi, and I'm in a good position because now I can ride the wave. The issue, of course, is that if you join in too late, right, if you're all the way in front, right, the wave is going to be too strong. You're not going to be cashing the wave. You're going to be like, oh, do I jump in or do I jump off? It's like the wave is too big. You can't take it. You can't take that wave. You have two choices, right? You can either try to scramble on your board, or you have to just jump off your board and just like curl in a corner like that, right? So that's what happened in 2017. I felt like people who joined in late, they couldn't catch the wave because it was like already just crazy, right? Like jumping on it at 100x, like how do you even justify that? And then at a certain point, of course, if you jump on, you're going to lose money. If you don't jump on, you're going to feel so bad because you're like, shit, I'm going to curl up in a corner and just ignore everything that's happening. So I feel like that's kind of the mentality. I'm not sure if you get that surfing mentality, but yeah. So that's kind of the thing. So I was a little bit lucky. So now the issue, of course, is we don't know how long the wave is going to last, right? We're on this wave, at least for me, I'm on this wave. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I did take out some profits. That's just the way it is. Even if I can make more in the future, I did take out some profits. I'm like, you know what? Well, I'm saving up. So in terms of DeFi, that bucket really blew up. I took around 10-20% out. Just like took it out and then cashed out a little bit. So if you guys are interested in cashing out or buying more Bitcoin, I'm very, very close with the guys at Genesis Block right now. We're talking, like, full disclosure, working more together in the future, but they're one of the OTCs in Hong Kong, but they also handle clients overseas as well. So they allow quantities of movements of cryptocurrencies. So if you guys are interested, check out Genesis Block, and I'll talk more about them in the future if you guys are interested. And the difference here is, it's kind of funny, right? So the difference here is why you want to use an OTC. I thought, if you have an exchange, why use an OTC? And I ended up using them. It's because they give you a direct cash conversion, and they can send to your bank account more easily. So it's just about the quantity you're cashing out. Sometimes if you're cashing out with certain banks, certain exchanges, especially because I was dealing with things locally here, they have international bank accounts, which it makes it easier for people to cash out. So anyways, not going to go too hard into it, but just check it out. I'll put the link up here. Free Will said, buy Bitcoin today. When the banks realize that people are done with their scams and turning to Bitcoin, you will have to get in early and will become rich. That's it. And I think that's pretty much the case. I think, especially with coronavirus, it's shown us a few things, right? It's shown us that the current centralized financial system is not stable. I mean, I talked about this at the very, very start. Yeah. And obviously, Bitcoin is the pricing if it's not stable. But what we do know is that no one can create Bitcoin out of nowhere. No one can freeze Bitcoin accounts. You can send Bitcoin anywhere in the world. And kind of scary right now is with the political situation that's going on, is that countries are becoming more and more closed off. We have the trade war escalating to new heights. We have political uncertainty that's happening around the world. Very soon, the movement of money, right? We used to enjoy the ability to send money anywhere in the world with centralized finance. Now, in the next few years, I don't see that happening as much. I see gradual decreases. Like right now, for example, if you look at China, there are financial controls. You're only allowed to take out 50K USD per year per person. After that, sorry, tough luck. You're not allowed to invest in property overseas. Don't. The government's saying you keep your money here because we don't want our economy breaking down. And that's going to only happen more. Maybe it's not that reason. Maybe that's not the official reason. But anyways, you can guess, right? But same thing with South Korea. And that might happen more and more in the future. So having something like crypto, I think this is something that I didn't understand at the start of all this. You know, in 2012, when I started mining, right, I almost feel like this is goosebumps because I'm like liquidity mining, right? But when I was mining, I didn't realize the power. I was just like, oh, whatever, it's Bitcoin, you know. Peter Schiff or whatever says it's gonna go to 0. I'm gonna sell at 15 because I'm smart. Not very smart. Now I know. Now that's the point of this channel. Is so we all know. We can learn together, and that's the power of it. I think anyone who comes into this, you know, if you don't recognize that power, yikes. And speaking of that, of course, you know, I'm a big hodler of Bitcoin. I'm not a maximalist by any means, but I do believe that having higher liquidity and having being the original matters a lot. So that's why, in terms of my hodl, Bitcoin stands a huge amount, and I don't touch it. I don't ever touch it. With Ethereum was slightly different. I did say I have Ethereum in my hodl, VeChains in my hodl. Ethereum I did touch a bit because I use MakerDAO to convert that to DAI to go yield farming, but that's just my personal choice. And I still have that Ethereum. It's like that Ethereum is not sold. It's being used as collateral to generate DAI. So that's the little bit of difference there. But yeah, so that's kind of the current case with everything. I feel like with now DeFi coming into play, like it's kind of funny because, you know, I've been doing all these DeFi videos, right? So I have a whole DeFi playlist. I'll put it up there somewhere. In fact, I'll show you guys this here. Oh, okay, you can see that. Playlist, you got the DeFi playlist right here. So there's a bunch of videos here, and I definitely recommend that you check it out. I'm so glad I did them because all of a sudden now we're using Balancer, we're using Uniswap, where all of a sudden MetaMask tips and tricks become super important because people are just finding themselves with stuck transactions everywhere, right? So all of a sudden you need to know these advanced tips and tricks to use it. It's still not the cleanest thing, right? It's still not clean. Right now, DeFi is still not very easy to use. If you ever have a stuck transaction in MetaMask, it is painful. And just a special note for you guys, if that does happen, activate the announce feature. So let me just show you guys this very quickly here. So settings, advanced, there's an announce feature here where, or maybe not. There's advanced gas controls, and then you also have to turn on transaction announce. That will allow you to customize and to essentially shoot down stuck transactions. That's extremely, extremely important. So make sure, guys, you are aware, at least aware that it can happen, that you need to shoot down a broken transaction. That is relatively important still. LOL. So just make sure that's the case. All right. We got Poncho says, if you're a fan of tokenomics of a project called Ample, probably the most technically interesting white papers I've read ever, my gift to you. I love your channel and your content presentation. So Ample I've struggled with for the longest amount of time. It's been pumping immensely recently. A lot of people have been getting into it, and personally, my friend like was nonstop talking about Ample Fourth. So for me personally, I touched it for fun to check out what the rebase is like. But at the same time, I've always struggled, right? This is where I'm struggling with why Ample is useful in the long run. So basically, it's a coin that's super interesting. I don't doubt that it's interesting. Basically, the quantity of Ample that you have, even though you save it in your Ledger wallet or whatever wallet, it will change every day in something called a rebase. So if say it's worth more than $1, and right now at the current point, let me see, AMPL. Let's check it out here. So if it goes up in price, right, it'll do a rebase where you'll have more. So we've been looking at it, like you get around 10% or something more Ample in your wallet. So you're like, oh shoot, I have more Ample. But at the same, so all of this is trying to stabilize the price. It's trying to use quantity to stabilize the price. So instead of having volatility in price, it will opt to have volatility in the quantity of Ample you hold. Super bizarre. I've never seen anything like this before. So I was thinking of advantages and disadvantages of it. I mean, I saw quite a few big funds invest into it. And from their perspective, maybe this idea of synthetic assets will take off. For me, I'm like, what's the point? You're not mitigating risk. You're just putting the risk somewhere else, right? So you're putting price risk to quantity risk. Anyways, I'm not sure if I'm talking too deep here, but anyways, that's the kind of the theory behind it. One thing I did notice with Ampleforth is that with the major explosion that they had recently, so in terms of the price, it did shoot up drastically. This would have been a hockey stick if it wasn't for the rebase. So I think a lot of people might have been put off by that, because now you're kind of just hiding the immense pump under the quantity growth. So I guess that's useful for hiding how much you moved up. I don't know. That's like the most cynical way of looking at things. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. All right. But yeah, I'll look into it more if you guys are interested. So thanks, Pancho, for the suggestion. Yeah. We got Oscar Cortez's Vet for Life. Oh yeah, by the way, we did do a interview with Sunny this week. So if you guys haven't caught up with that, yeah, it's up on this week. Let me see if it's up here. Yep, we did a stream. So let me put that here. We did a stream. It was pretty amazing with eChain with Sunny. So boom, up there. I think right now it's like the whole situation is crazy. It's crazy insanity how much people have been making. I mean, obviously, I'm not the only one who made a lot of made money here, right? So there's definitely a lot of hype and fever on DeFi. Obviously, with anything like this, I will have to say warning going forward is that it won't end well. There will be it'll be like the analogy I said was very similar to the internet bubble. We are approaching the DeFi bubble. But in the long run, why it's for me is still worth looking at is because, well, the internet changed the world. So there we go. But you risk that. Anyways, we got Angela Wang says 30 minutes. I did say that today I'm going to do a little bit of a shorter stream today, mostly because I just wanted to take a break. So this week it has been pretty insane for me on a personal level because I'm jumping into a bunch of projects and I have Wi-Fi farming on the side, and that has been very stressful, mostly because I needed to understand all the risks involved. So at the start, I put in a smaller quantity, and then I grew that quantity pool, and then I needed to make sure that my assets are safe, so my ass is covered. So right now, it's still going pretty well, actually. I think right now with the Wi-Fi prices going up like to insanity, I definitely recommend you check out the video to see at least what is happening here with all this farming business, and the DeFi playlist is where I will start. So yeah, crazy yield farming and everything here. I'll definitely recommend you seeing everything here, and yeah, it doesn't even cover the risk. I cover a lot of risks involved, but it doesn't cover all of it. So Ravi's asked, what are your views on Ample? So I just said them just now. If in quick summary, I think it's interesting, but it's not something for me personally. I think what it does is that the rebase hides a pump very well. So it could be going up like crazy amounts. Everyone's collecting more and more rebase. But at the same time, what is the value of this project in the long run? Harder to say. This is harder to say. Is it really worth $20 million or whatnot? Harder to say. I think it's one of the amazing pumps that did happen. In fact, not 20 million. It's the market cap is at 333 million. So congrats to anyone who got early on. Did I buy a bit? Yes, I bought around $1,000 worth of Ample just to try it out. Everyone was recommending that to me. I'm like, okay, sure, let me try it out. Did I make money from it? Nope. I actually probably lost around I would say I lost around 15% after 2 rebases. So it's still, we'll have to see. I did try it out because of all the hype, but I don't really see long-term value. Mostly because, like, why is this asset useful? It's I don't know. It mitigates the price risk to a quantity risk, but it doesn't reduce risk, right? It doesn't eliminate the risk altogether. We have Chainlink hype. Chainlink is crazy. And this whole market's crazy. And I think I kind of readapted. Before, I think 2017, I was quite elitist. Like I only wanted stuff that has immense value. But now I'm much more open-minded this year, just because, quite honestly, why not? Am I going to hold everything? Like I said, I bought $1,000 worth of Ample. Am I going to hold it? Nah, I'm not really. But did I buy it? Yeah, why not? Just to see it. I don't see why not. But that's the answer. So we got, please answer. Is it ethical to trade cryptocurrency? I don't know. Yeah, this is a big concern. Okay, I understand now. Ardell de la Tardell says, is crypto helping or hindering the black market? I think there's always this rumor that crypto is helping the black market or something like that. The US dollar, take a look at that. I would say, like, does a Mexican cartel, so going back to black market trading, right? So what does the Mexican cartel do? They ship drugs up to the US to sell drugs, and then they receive a lot of cash. Do they change that cash into Bitcoin to send it back or to use Bitcoin? No, not at this current point anyways. What do? They take that US dollar, take it into giant trucks, and then ship it back to Mexico, and then HSBC launders that money. That's what's happening. I think, yeah, if you're worried about black market, get out of the US dollar. That's the easiest way to say it. Yeah. Watch a lot. There's a lot of Netflix documentaries on this. Like, you should watch definitely what's happening with HSBC. I think there was a banking one temporarily phased out. I can't remember the name, but there's another one about the China hustle as well. I definitely want to. I would recommend that to just kind of give you an idea of what's holding on. Yeah, Poncho says banks have been busted laundering money for the cartels. HSBC right up there, busted. But did it go to jail? Did anyone go to jail? Not really. Like, they're so rich they don't go to jail anymore. They get fined, but they're like, huh. You fined me $2 billion? I made $20 billion. It's so messed up. This world is so broken. Like, this is like, it actually made me quite depressed. Like, I say this quite lightly, but like, honestly, it made me quite depressed for the last 2 years, just realizing what was going on in this world, right? I grew up kind of believing all this that's especially this Hollywood fairy tale that, the good guys win. No, they don't. The bad guys always win, right? That's the messed up part about the world. The bad guys are the bankers. They've been creating this like monopoly on banking, and that's what DeFi is trying to solve. It's just kicking those guys out. And right now, is DeFi broke? Yeah, absolutely. Is it the hero that we deserve? I don't know. Like, is it even a hero? It's much more transparent in crypto what's going on, and some of the stuff that's happening in crypto is also super broken. Like exchanges demanding huge amounts of money for a listing. I don't know. It's not a miracle cure, but at the same time, having something on the blockchain means it's much more transparent and open for everyone to see. And with all this crazy stuff, and this is the saddest part, this is what made me depressed, with all the shitty stuff you see in crypto, right? Because you see a lot of shitty stuff. You can only begin to imagine that this is done 10x in the real world. All the shady stuff, it only gets magnified when it bridges into the real world, because now lobbyists could be bought. You can if you're a big entity, you can silence your opponents with by just outright suing them because you have more money than them. Then you can kind of buy lobbyists to change the law to your favor. I mean, welcome to the real world. So I guess that's why I'm here. Anyways, that's my rant for what's happening for the longest time. I hope you guys are in touch. We've been doing a lot more recently as well with decentralized finance. We've been covering almost everything on boxmining.com. I've been drastically trying to expand that. And if you also are interested in writing for box mining, we've been trying to get more people to write for us. So contact at boxmining.com. Just tell us if you want to write or if you want to contribute in some form or the other. Basically, we have a whole DeFi section now. We also have, okay, if you scroll down to the bottom half of the page, you'll see the subscribe to our free newsletter. We're just preparing newsletter 0. So the first newsletter that's going out, we're going to try to make this a kind of a bi-weekly sort of newsletter so you don't get jammed. This is just kind of an experiment for me, but already some 300 odd people signed up, so it's going to be crazy. Thank you guys so much for signing up too. So right now, this is going to be free for now. I'm not sure long term if we want to make it free or not free, but we're going to do substantial amounts of research. I am spending money on this website. Like, this is not a money profitable making machine. There are some profits. I have some ads on there, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's gonna be boss. Right now I'm putting money, research, and everything into this, so check that out. Yeah, and Angela is coordinating a lot of this, so thank you so much, Angela. We got Mrs. Michael. Thank you thank you. Every time I watch a video from you, I learn from it. EE Tambourine too. Thank you. Awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I definitely want this episode to be a little bit shorter. Yeah, recently been doing a lot more investing side, so yeah, that's taking a lot more of my time, and I'll keep you guys updated. I think my rule is I'll start making more videos recently, but I definitely want to cut down the length of all the videos. That way I have a little bit more time to myself to do whatever I need to do, including everything. So it's been pretty busy. So let's do 5 minutes of Q&A, and we'll see what's happening. We got Jose Gambola says, I want to know you guys hear about how you hear about the newest and latest projects coming out. And this is something that I've been drastically improving recently as well. I think a lot of people were surprised with TrustSwap. I think a few people asked me about TrustSwap too, but that's because I knew Jeff as a good friend. Like, we were hung out in Bali. We were in the gym together. I made a video for that too. And I'm super glad that he is stepping full force into this space. So sometimes it's through your friends, sometimes it is your friends, and other times it's through different groups. And something that I've been drastically trying to improve on and to provide to you guys is kind of a list of what I'm looking at. Like, I looked at CAP prior to this, and that did like crazy well. I also looked at some projects that didn't do well, like XYS. There was apparently a group that was pushing that. It didn't do too well. I think that went like to 50% of the original value. But it was fun. It was fun to look at it. There was Camel. There was Tornado Cash. I try to get in on that. I don't think I can. Tornado is just too hyped right now. But yeah, I think everyone's like, if this kind of symbolizes anything recently, the trend now, right? If you look at the narrative for the whole story for the DeFi space, was that the first one that came out was Compound. That really pushed DeFi scene into something crazy. I mean, at a certain point, Compound almost touched $1 billion market cap just for a governance token. And people were expecting it to go even further. Well, I didn't go further because it was such a high cap that people were looking at compound alternatives. So all of a sudden, people were looking at new projects, and new projects were getting listed on Uniswap first. So Uniswap became a major hub for new projects. This is where DeFi beats centralized finance, CeFi, because projects can list immediately on Uniswap. They can do something called an initial liquidity offering, which is like pretty much like this year's ICO, right? So all of a sudden, people were rushing into these new currencies. And from the narrative angle, that's why Compound didn't really push that much, because all that money flowed, right? Compound dropped from around $1 billion to around $500 million market cap. All that capital flowed to newer projects. And all of a sudden, these new projects blowing up left, right, and center. I mean, if you even look at the case of TrustSwap, I know it's ridiculously hyped right now, but someone who invested $300,000 made a 50x, right? I think they calculated it to be around $1.5 million at the end. So that's insanity. So everyone's trying to look for these gems. But at the same time, of course, we're going into an overhyped phase where people are just blindly hurling bricks of cash at new projects when who knows if they have long-term value or not. So that's the situation we're in. Talk about Telobox. What do you think about it? I don't have an opinion. I think I've heard about it a lot, but anyways, that's pretty much it for now. Is it Telo or Telor? Telor credits, right? Telor tribute. Oh, this is a good question as well. Bernard Macari says, do you think we'll ever see a governing body established to protect investors? One that just make suggestions like all projects should be audited, and if they get a certification? No, I don't see any governing body. I think crypto is the absolute epitome of do whatever you want. Freedom is key, and yeah, people just don't care. So we're gonna see hype cycles. That's just the way it is. I don't see this place cleaning up until regulators do come, and then at which point, yet again, when regulators come, crypto will be like, yo, you can't regulate this. So it'll be a funny dynamic going forward. But I'm not optimistic. I think maybe like 10 years ago, I was like, maybe we should push for that. But then I'm like, this year, I'm like, you can't fight human nature. You know, human nature is that they always want to make ridiculous amounts of money. They hear a story like, oh, 30K to 1.5 million. Oh my God. And then they just go crazy, FOMO. So obviously it's all about strategy. I think I think the worst part is that people don't teach us about FOMO, that the emotion can take over. And for me, it's always like, that's what 2017 taught me. I jumped into a bunch of projects that I probably shouldn't have. Luckily, I didn't talk about it on this channel. And that was the case, FOMO gets the better of us, and it's just learning how to deal with that. And can we magically become better investors, more strategic thinking immediately? No. But over time, yes. And that's what, yet again, Box Mining channel is all about. We've been talking a lot more about strategy, not financial advice, of course. You guys have to make your own strategy. And this is why, in many cases, I give the tools to you. You can do whatever you wish with it, but I'm still going to talk about these tools. So anyways, we got, are you effing kidding me? Bitcoin will crash to 7K. Do it. I hope so. It probably won't happen, but I hope so. I still have money to buy in if it does crash. So LOL. I wanted to crash, but something tells me that it probably won't for some time. That's my 2 cents. I think a lot of people are like freaking out right now, but for me, yeah, like I said, stable, solid as a rock for my hodl. I took some money out. That's great. I can now buy some cool stuff with it. At the same time, I'm pretty deep into DeFi. Will it crash? Maybe. If it does and I lose everything, I don't mind. It won't be nice, but like I never put more in than what I can lose. Okay, last question I'm taking here is Kel Nafa says, why FI token economics? Why if I minted for staking words and then they get sold back to the SE to pay further rewards for those who are farming? And this is a cycle that drives supply and also demand. Yes, there's Ponzi-nomics saying there. I think Daryl Lau pointed this out very, very early on. And I think I have a tweet about that where yeah, you buy. It's Ponzi-nomics, right? There's you buy the coin to get more farm, and you farm for more coin. That circular logic reason. So I think it was Daryl. Oh, I don't have the quote here. And technically, the token has Andre who created the token. It's initially meant to be a zero supply, zero financial value token. But what's interesting is now that you can stake your Wi-Fi to get your home. You can stake it. So if you go to the fee rewards, you can go here to stake your Wi-Fi and then get even more rewards. So it's like you get to vote and you get fee rewards. So it's already been implemented. I'm actually quite scared at how fast they move. I was like, is everything audited? That was my first question. So anyways, beyond that, am I yield farming? Yes, absolutely. Am I holding Wi-Fi? Only the Wi-Fi that's required to hold for the pools 2 and 3. So pools 2 and 3 require 2% hodl on Wi-Fi, and you have higher rates there. So that's kind of, hopefully that answers your question. Kalen Nafa says this can't be sustainable, right? Absolutely not. And in fact, it wasn't very stable. When I first started Wi-Fi farming, it was around 1,000-something% annual percentage yield. Now that has drastically dropped. It's reached a point where it's only 300 at some point for pool number 1 throughout this week. And I expect it to drop a little bit further. But right now, because of all the hype, all of a sudden, I think the community, right? So we were talking kind of about this very early on Saturday, Sunday-ish level, where the yields were crazy because the assets under management was not very high. But now everyone's just hurling cash at this. Like all of a sudden it took off to become mainstream, right? So now everyone's hurling cash, and the Wi-Fi, the demand went up. But do I think it's sustainable? Not really, to be honest. I kind of compare this to early coins when it gets launched. So we saw that with Mimblewimble, the two Mimblewimble coins, Beam and Grin. So those two coins, when they first launched, they were at enormous hype levels and prices because there was such low supply. But because new supply was being mined every day and being shoved on the market, how do you maintain that momentum was very difficult. And this is why Grin lost a lot of momentum last year in terms of people talking about it. There was a lot of hype, but right now, I mean, who talks about Grin anymore? The tech is pretty amazing. But yet again, because it wasn't stabilized, once it went down in value, it lost momentum and people just got out. So that's kind of doing it. But anyways, that's my 2 cents, not financial wise, blah, blah, blah. Ramen Monkey says, I love the YN community. Thank you for recommending it, Michael. Awesome. If you made money, thank you guys. Awesome. That's great. But yet again, understand that there was a lot of risk. And I know Wi-Fi community probably hates me for not, being a hodler. I still haven't staked governance yet. I might do this weekend and tell you how it goes. But anyways, I've been enjoying the farming so far and participating. I did vote, so I guess if Wi-Fi community asked me, did I vote? Yes, and that did require me to lock up my pool 3 for a while. So anyways, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is a shorter episode. In fact, it's still quite long. We're gonna do another live stream on next Monday, so we'll check that here. Monday, 11 a.m. Hong Kong time. I'm gonna put the stream up. I know YouTube's been a little bit wonky recently, in fact, for the last few months, so they don't always tell you when it's live stream unless you do sign up and you click the remind me button on the next live stream. So we're going to have a follow-up. We're going to talk more about DeFi. We're going to talk more about what's going on. So why not? Next episode is definitely about DeFi. Let me create the event here so you guys can sign up and get to that. So let's put that here. Boom. Drop that. DeFi, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency update. DeFi first now, huh? DeFi first. All right, let me send that into this live stream right here. Putinsky says, DeFi, please DeFi. You show what happened to the launch. The launch got delayed, and I didn't show it. I was talking about what it was about. Please get your facts straight. But yeah, it's next week on Monday. Jose Gamboa says he's leaving to use his 19K a week. Yeah, I took around 2% out, right? So that's like not 2% out, about 10% out. So yeah, that's around 2K. Probably not 19K a week because it dropped. The yield dropped to around 6K right now. Everyone's just jumping in. So yeah. Just like an engineer, you cannot stop talking. Anyways, I'm pushing this one. I'm pushing this one. This if I'm shilling anything, I'm shilling my own live stream that's coming up. Oh, it's wrong link, guys. Wrong link. Live stream. There should be link. Why? What? Something went wrong. Why YouTube? And tell me if the Putinsky says, I love the word got you triggered. Yeah, it's super much, man. Like it survived 2017. Everyone's like so angry. 2018 rather. 2018, 2019. Everyone's so angry. It's like, you shiller. Yeah, I'm super triggered by that. But you know, that's just me. But anyways, that's the link, guys. That should be the correct link going forward. Boom. Drop that down. Misses, even if you sign up, it's not coming to your email. I did release newsletter 0 to everyone for the box mining newsletter. So I have to double check if it's getting in. If it's not getting in, do tell me that the newsletter is not getting in. But I will give you guys updates on that. All right, yeah, that's pretty much it. Boom. All right, guys, have a fun weekend. I might do another stream if you guys are interested in anything. I know I'm spending a lot of time on this anyway. So anyways, guys, have fun, enjoy. Actually, I'm actually just going to go out. I'm going to go down to Genesis block today. Going to check out, meet up John. It'll be fun. Buy some stuff on the outside. Been looking at more stuff to buy. If you guys have any cool stuff, I got a camera recently. That was fun. Haven't used it at all, which kind of sucks. Just like this camera is like the most expensive decoration we have right now. Yeah, it cost me like what, 2K, and it's just sitting here. It will be used somehow. It'll be used. I just need to change the lens, so I might get a new lens for this. It's like, that's probably my next purchase. Just buy one of the better lens so we can have another angle here. But this is like a cinema camera, which I don't know. That's gonna be fun, right? Anyways, guys. Free will says, does life make you happy or does money make you happier? Okay, last rant of the day. I cannot ignore that question. Money makes you happier to a certain extent. Like if you're poor, then it's gonna, like, life's gonna suck for you because it's gonna get abused by everyone who's rich. Yeah, but then at a certain point, when you become too hungry for money, it also makes you sad. Oh. All right, guys, that's the most philosophical I'll ever be. And with that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you get the podcast. All right, well, I want to learn how to point at this. Get the podcast. That's great. And also get up for the live stream that's coming up on next Monday. Anyways, guys, thank you so much, guys. See you.